Hi to all dear viewers and subscribers. My name is Maxim Branevsky. I was born and live in the territory of the former Soviet Union. You probably notice it right away from my accent and pronunciation. I am an engineer, physicist, and also researcher in the field of ufology and paranormal phenomena. And I have a lot of experience in researching UFO cases on the territory of the former Soviet Union. I mean countries such as Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Latvia, Estonia, and other nearby countries. So the information you will hear from me is quite unique for many viewers from countries outside the former Soviet Union, because this information most likely has not yet been presented so globally. So subscribe to the channel and like this video. It will be very awesome. Today I will tell you about a very interesting case of the so-called close encounter of the third kind, that is, contact with an UFO and its crew, which occurred during the USSR and was dealt with very seriously by many Soviet researchers at the highest level. And the eyewitness of this contact, his name is Anatoly Malyshev, was repeatedly checked by various experts for his lies. Anatoly was repeatedly interrogated, trying to catch him in a lie, with the help of some tricky questions, but no one managed to do it. The final conclusion of the experts suggests that there is every reason to believe that this contact was real. So let's get started. So first up, as a researcher of UFOs and alien contacts, I would like to say that in the 70s and 80s of the last century, this case was subjected to the most serious research by experts and was recognized as reliable. The main character of this event, Anatoly Malyshev, was interviewed many times in various ways in an attempt to catch him in a lie, but it was not possible to do this. Soviet ufology experts found that Anatoly clearly and consistently tells his story, without getting confused in his testimony. I suggest starting with a brief biography of Anatoly Malyshev. He was born in 1957 in the Fergana district in Uzbekistan. His parents are simple and kind people, hard workers, who do not have a prestigious education. In addition to Anatoly, they had two other children, two girls. Also having a normal secondary school education and not being a resident of a large city, he, like many provincials, has always been a tongue-tied person. So Anatoly's first encounter with the incomprehensible creatures occurred in the Fergana district, when a 7-year-old boy was playing with his peers on the outskirts of the village. Suddenly, he noticed a disc-shaped vehicle about 200 meters away. Three space-suited figures were approaching him from this vehicle. These creatures are of medium height. Anatoly was frightened and ran towards the house with a cry. And judging by this first failed meeting, even as a child, Anatoly Malyshev in our official language was made a node by aliens, because according to some criteria known only to aliens, he was a very suitable and rare specimen among the Homo sapiens to start working with him. It is noteworthy that it was in the area of Fergana that ancient frescoes of humanoid creatures with three antennae on their heads were discovered at one time. This first failed meeting was the reason that, in his youth, Anatoly tried to learn from teachers and literate adults about the possibility of intelligent life on other planets. But what could answer these questions in the 60s of the last century, even the greatest authorities in science, if even such works of Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, such books as Living Beings as Space, Monism of the Universe, The Cause of the Cosmos, The Will of the Universe, Unknown Intelligent Forces, Cosmic Philosophy, So these books were kept in special closed collection of the several libraries, in single copies, and were issued to people who had special permits. But despite the vague grants or general harangues of the questioners, Anatoly was still confident in the reality of extraterrestrial intelligence. After all, he had not dreamed of the meeting that frightened him when he was still a small boy. But in 1975, Anatoly had a second encounter with friendly aliens. He was invited to their spaceship and was taken to another planet. At the same time, his memory was not blocked, as is usually the case with many contactees who have visited alien spaceships.
On the night of July 20th to 21st, 1975, Anatoly had a dream in which someone recommended him to go in the afternoon in the direction of the poultry farm through the forest, passing through which he would find a large picturesque clearing, where nature itself has prepared him pictures for excellent landscape sketches. Anatoly accepted this mystical proposal. On July 21, 1975, it rained heavily, and at about 5 p.m., when the clouds had cleared and the sun had dried up a little, Anatoly went in the direction indicated to him in his dream to sketch with the setting sun. Of course, he took a homemade easel, paints, and brushes. On the way, he felt an anxious state, although there was no other reason than an unusual dream. He walked about 3 kilometers and found the promised glade, where he settled down next to a group of young fir trees. Before that, he did not know about the existence of this clearing. This place is located half a kilometer from the village of Kostino, Moscow region, fenced off from the clearing by a coniferous forest and an unnamed river, along the banks of which the nightingale willow has grown. On the other side of the clearing is a fairly dense spruce forest, with a width of no more than a kilometer. That evening, July 21, 1975, Malyshev began to paint his painting, the central object of which was the setting sun. Suddenly, a sharp alarm broke into the painter's deep concentration. It was about 8 p.m., quite a bright time in July. He looked up from his easel and turned back in the direction from which he had entered the clearing. 80 meters away from Anatoly was a disc-shaped silver vehicle. The diameter of the disc is about 13 meters, the height is about 4 meters. This is how the trained eye of the young artist estimated it. The first thought was, obviously, our astronauts had an accident and made an emergency landing. But soon he realized the fallacy of this assumption. Around the perimeter of the disk, a glowing ring rotated slightly. 3 humanoid beings got out of the disc-shaped object and headed towards Malyshev. They went in sync and seemed to make smooth, long jumps. All 3 of them were wearing silver spacesuits. The height of 2, according to Malyshev, is 1 meter 70 centimeters. The age of all in appearance is no more than 25 years old. Although later Malyshev was told that they were much older. The 2 figures were clearly male. A little ahead was an unearthly representative of the fair sex, not inferior in beauty to the earthly beauty queens. Her height was about 1 meter 60 centimeters. The men's faces are also very pretty. The figures are slender. The eyes are all slightly elongated, slightly reminiscent of the slant of Eastern people. And they differ in color in all three of them. Anatoly's state of fear was aggravated because, apart from a wonderful dream, he was not prepared for such an unexpected meeting. They noticed it. The beautiful alien woman was the first to come to his rescue. Smiling discreetly, she held out her hand to Anatoly and said, "Hello, don't be afraid of us. We came from another planet. What are you doing now?" Malyshev answered unnaturally quietly, "I'm sketching." The aliens looked at him with penetrating and somewhat hypnotic eyes, rarely blinking, which made their gazes even more fascinating to the dumbfounded Earthman. During the conversations with Malyshev, the helmets were not removed. Anatoly did not quite clearly hear the voices of their pleasant timbre and saw the conversational movement of their lips. On the chest of each crew member, on the left side, shone either a device or a round-shaped emblem. One of them, for some reason, brought a rectangular device to Malyshev, from which something similar to an antenna extended. After a few seconds, the device was removed. Then Malyshev was offered to go to the disc-shaped object. He agreed. The woman walked in front, and the men followed her, holding Anatoly by the shoulders since, in all likelihood, they understood that the Earthman's legs did not function quite confidently in such a situation. When they came to the disc, some unknown force pulled all four of them inside. Inside this disc-shaped spaceship, the steady light illuminated rows of flashing devices. Malyshev could see only the central part of the room, everything else was in a kind of haze. In the room, Malyshev noticed a round table, and around it, some kind of stools. He was asked to sit down and undress. When Malyshev began to fulfill the offer, casting girlish shy glances at the alien woman, the latter, obviously realizing what was going on, disappeared into the haze. Which does not necessarily mean that she was embarrassed to see the naked body of a young Earthman. Naked Anatoly had sensors attached to his arms and legs, some kind of crown was put on his head. After the examination, the conclusion is made aloud in Russian, a very peculiar nervous system, rare for Earthlings in its composure, mental development, below average. The aliens were surprised by Malyshev's impeccable physique, and they asked him about the reason for this. Anatoly replied that he was engaged in sports, and it was true, he had attended boxing for a long time and not without success. Anatoly, according to the observations of experts, is generally a very open, truthful, and kind person. And in that situation, he, no doubt, spoke everything without concealing anything. Regarding sports, the aliens asked, "What is it?" Malyshev, as always briefly, though not quite clearly, replied, "Such physical work." They let him know they understood. Malyshev was shown a device resembling a TV screen. On the screen, one of the streets of Solnechnogorsk, it's a town nearby Moscow, is remote from the place of meeting by about 12 kilometers. On the screen, people, cars, close up. Then Anatoly was taken out of the disc-shaped object, and they returned to it. In 2 to 3 seconds, the object made an ascent to a height of about a kilometer. The ring around the disc, during the ascent, increasing the speed of rotation, changed color from blue to dazzling white. After hanging, the disc opened up into 8 sectors, like slices of an orange being broken. Then the disc rolled into a cylinder. The alien crew members, having thus demonstrated to Anatoly a technically striking polymorphism, approach him with a proposal to make a flight to their planet, sorta with our capabilities, it's absolutely safe. Malyshev agrees, young curiosity and natural male courage take their toll, he thought. If it's necessary, so it's necessary. The aliens explain, the flight will last 40 minutes on Earth time there and the same time back to Earth. One-way distance of about 30 light years. Here is a short, stylistically edited story from Malyshev's diary about the flight to a distant planet and what he saw on it. We took off. A porthole opens a view of the receding Earth. We're sitting in airplane-style seats. The spacesuits were removed. On the woman's head is a kind of cap. She takes it off, a beautiful, lush scattering of light brown hair. After a while, they show the Earth from space. The launch from the ground was accompanied by sound with increasing frequency. Approaching the moon. In the same porthole, which appears only during the display of space, I can see the approaching giant ball of the moon and can see the hangar-shaped structures. Apparently Malyshev was shown the far side of the moon. They explained that these are their stations. Then a flyby of the moon. During the flight, I experienced a very unpleasant feeling. This disgusting state is difficult to convey in words. They realized this and somehow created an atmosphere in the ship that eliminated my unbearable feeling. The caring alien woman asked with a smile, "You probably want to eat." I answered, "Well, if there is something." They fed me a salad that resembled a mixture of our vegetables and gave me water like our mineral water. The food is purely vegetarian. We're approaching an unknown planet. The planet is shrouded in haze, and a dim light is coming from it. The impression of the artificiality of this heavenly abode is created. Around the planet is a ring of glowing spheres, small in size compared to the planet. We're landing. Then we're going out from the spaceship. Uniform white light around, no source of light, other than the mentioned spheres. The air is clean and fresh, like in a coniferous forest, far from the cities. It is somewhat easier to move around than on Earth. The landing pad surface looks like concrete. Several human-like aliens are standing around us. I remember the clothes of two of them. One was wearing a training suit, the other one was wearing dark trousers and a light shirt. I am accompanied by one of the aliens. I remember the stony ground, the earth-like grass, the domed and prismatic buildings in the distance, and the light as if from inside these structures. Above the surface of the planet, flying saucers were in flight. I saw a flying figure with folded arms. We were in the building. As you move along it, the walls seem to go to the sides and up. The Great Hall. The screen is 2 to 3 meters. On the screen is a dark-skinned being. There is a conversation between him and one of those present. Speech is similar to a whistle, sometimes to human speech, pronounced at a very high speed. Next, I can only list the facts in connection with the surrounding situation. I have seen nearby humanoid creatures of 3 meters in height. Stooped, with an underbrow look, deep-set eyes, a straight nose, and a face slightly lighter than the rest, their skin surface consists of separate vibrating patches. I felt terrified at them, then calmed down a little. The aliens dress in a spacesuit like this. They cover themselves with something and come out dressed. They undress as follows. Raise their hands. Somewhere on the belt there is a separation of the suit. The upper part of the suit rises and lies down next to them, then followed by a jump, during which the lower part of the suit slides off. They demonstrated rejuvenation on one of the aliens. Some unknown device is brought up to the alien, and a shadow passes over the face from top to bottom. I saw the appearance of a person from a luminous dot. Maybe some kind of teleportation process expanding in all directions. A human-like alien was formed. The human-like alien disappears very quickly. The disappearance was shown in stages. 1. Light-born alien. 2. Glowing outline, and inside a dark silhouette. 3. Dark silhouette. 4. Luminous dot. I saw some books. I saw an animal that looked like an elk. I saw a kind of our terrestrial tape recorder in its functions, a combination of a triangular prism and a disc. Our terrestrial radio broadcasts were recorded on it. They showed me something similar to the photos of Earth cities, our terrestrial spaceships, and airplanes. I saw a creature about 1 meter tall, elongated arms, large heads, deep eye sockets, thin lips, greenish complexion. The creature was familiar with a man who had lived in Moscow for about 20 years during the 1930s and 1940s. From the conversation with him, I realized that he knows Moscow well. I tried to take, as proof, a transparent parallelepiped with a liquid. Without turning to me, they ordered me to put it back in its place. They offered to stay with them permanently. I refused. Return to Earth. During the flight, I saw many flying saucers heading toward the Earth. On the flight back, I did not experience any unpleasant sensations. They said that they would never allow a nuclear war on Earth, and that, as a last resort, they would act very fast and block all electrical circuits at all strategic nuclear facilities, so that no one would understand what was happening. They told Malyshev that some kind of big celebration was likely to come soon for the people of Earth. This is a period of mass contact between our civilizations, which of course, mainly depends on the behavior of Earthlings for the better side. At parting, they told me the following: wait. All you have learned from us, you must tell people who are interested in it and who will believe you. The launch of their flying saucer from the ground was again accompanied by the sound with an increase in frequency. I was standing in the same clearing from which I flew into space a few hours ago. It was about 11 p.m. I came home and immediately wrote down, unfortunately, very briefly, about what happened, made a few sketches from memory.